We saw Grand Prix Miami, not the last one, but the one before that Reed Duke did win and found some time to push a car, as many do know. Chase Kovac actually lost his match playing for top 8, so very skilled player. I believe he's heading to Pro Tour Dragons of Tarkir for next week, but he decided he wanted to play a little Magic this week with Jeskai aggro, and he's playing basically what Matt Costa's playing we saw in round 1.
Also had a deep invitational run at least once. I know that he had a 7-1 in standard a few invitationals ago.
Model red.
Yep.
Chase is going to start things off with the Temple of Triumph. Tom is going to start things off with the Plains and a Laguna Band Trailblazers. Round number 3 is underway here.
And this is, Costa's list. I don't know who's the origin of the list, but it's the 4 copies of Icefall Regent, just like we saw from Costa in round 1.
Seeker of the way here for Kovac. As we head back Ross's way, you see he has a windswept Heath in hand, so green mana will not be a problem. The question is blue mana the issue here? As Tom starts thinking as early as turn 2 about how he wants to move forward. He will start with the windswept Heath and just a passing of the turn. To Kovac we will go. Very interested in this take, as Tom is going to block very quickly. It is no 4 after all. Come and get it.
Yeah. No hesitation there.
Kovac does have a couple of lands in hand, windswept Heath and a Plains.
And I believe with Tom went Dromoka's command in hand, so he was hoping that Chase would play something, and in response, Tom could take care of business there.
True.
With a +1/+1 in fight.
I'll tell you one thing.
You get a token because it's heroic.
Yep.
Then the Seeker's dead, and Chase probably did something pretty inefficient with his turn.
Let's see what this is going to be. A morph.
I
smell
anything.
I was actually smelling an Ash Cloud Phoenix, but I'm wrong, I think.
Stratus Dancer.
Yeah.
A card I'm very hot on.
You like that card.
I do. I think this card's excellent.
This will actually be fun because I'd be surprised if Tom actually knows what the morph is. These Jeskai decks typically don't play morphs, and you would think that, okay, it's probably Ash Cloud Phoenix?
Yeah, that would be my best guess.
Tom going to sacrifice a windswept Heath here.
And it's so nice for these, the blue wedges here, your Bance and your Grixis, to be able to play with Heath and Flooded Strand when you're playing with the Delve card drawers. That's pretty nice.
Yeah.
For your Knives of the World, the mana base is actually a little ugly because of these lands, but they do facilitate Delve cards pretty nicely.
Dromoka's command will be cast to take care of the morph. Tom a little unsure of what that is. So as we get a morph token out there, we're not going to need it as the Stratus Dancer is going to bite the dust. There is Dromoka's command. 4 modes, they're all pretty good as Tom does peel blue source here in Flooded Strand. So life is looking pretty good here for the boss now. I think we're going to have blue mana coming in just a second. There that is. Now, we've seen splashes in white-blue heroic. Of course, we think of Joe Lissette playing, Jeskai heroic and winning last weekend. Now, Tom with a really nice turn here. He's able to play Hero of Heroes and then play Ordeal of Thassa on the Laguna Band Trailblazer. That Trailblazer has a lot of toughness.
Yep, and Tom willing to make a play that aggressive and not leave up the God's Willing that's in his hand, because so many of these Jeskai aggro lists have just moved away from playing Jeskai Charm. They're all on the burn removal game 1, so.
It's time for more new cards. It's a Citadel Siege, which triggers Prowess on the Seeker of the Way. And that's going to give it counters as well. And now we are going to move back Tom's way. So we're in a racing situation.
If this is Dromoka's command, this is going to be an ugly turn here for Chase.
I think it'll be the ugliest turn for Chase.
Little fight and sacrifice and enchantment?
Yeah.
Oh,
boy.
Oh, boy.
Well, there goes Chase's permanence. And I think there goes his chance to win the game. Is that another Ordeal? Oh,
sure.
Goodness. There's a windswept Heath, too. Tom is really dialing it up early today off of these buys.
Chase's draw was pretty good.
It was actually really good. Tom going to draw a couple of cards. Dromoka's command has looked very impressive thus far.
Got the ball rolling, killed Chase's morph, and that last turn was just hoofa. I mean, that's the dream scenario right there.
Yeah. Chase going to follow up with another Seeker of the Way and a passing of the turn. But that Laguna Band Trailblazer is out of control big. Ross going to untap. He's going to sacrifice a windswept Heath here on the upkeep. Get a land out of his deck. Again, only 1 forest in Tom's deck to go along with 4 windswept Heaths and then 4 copies of Manic Influence. So the green splash actually not that tough to do.
No, this is a very clean mana base.
Yeah.
3 temples, 4 plains, 1 of each basic, 8 fetch lands.
Yep.
I like it. I'm not a big fan of playing things like Mystic Monastery, which the Jeskai builds of this deck have to go to. Because you don't have that extra fetch lands.
Yeah.
You know?
The extra fetch land is pretty nice for a card like Treasure Cruise, as you did mention, which is in Tom's sideboard. Now here's an ordeal of Heliod. It's time to do some attacking, some growing of the Trailblazer, and gain some life, thank you very much. If this game was going to be about racing, which it was for a little bit, it no longer is. Seeker of the Wade, yeah, you do have to chump block. Tom of the Flood Strand that he's considering playing at this point. We'll see if he does, and he will. Now here's a Battle-Wise Hoplite. I think Tom basically saying, I don't think you have a card like End Hostilities in your deck.
Yeah, the main deck Seekers really don't suggest that that's going on.
Here's Icefall Regent.
Oh! A debut.
A lot of new cards here. Dromoka's Command, Citadel Siege is kind of new. Tom's going to take a look here at Icefall Regent, see exactly how it works. When there's the battlefield, tap target creature and opponent controls. This creature doesn't untap during its controller's untap step for as long as you control Icefall Regent. So very Dungeon Geist-esque. And then spells your opponents cast at target Icefall Regent costs 2 more to cast, very Frost Titan-esque. Tom going to sacrifice his...
And the mana cost?
Yes.
Right in between Dungeon Geist and Frost Titan.
That is true. That is very, very true. Tom has a God's Willing, however, to slow down the old Icefall Regent. Does not want his Laguna Band Trailblazer to be tapped. Tom will take a draw. Everybody's coming in. There's a very quick chump block there from Chase. Has no option. He'll take 4 points of damage. Looks like he's going to mosey on down to 5.
I like casting the rest of the hand here, which is what Tom's going to do, because you just see an Icefall Regent. So if you leave some stuff left in the chamber and Chase has another Icefall Regent and you can't protect the Trailblazer, all of a sudden Chase can kind of start to get the game turned around a little bit.
Things get a little annoying.
Yep.
That's
I think
for sure.
maybe you would see some conservative play from Tom under normal circumstances, but Icefall Regent means he's kind of got to play out the rest of his hand.
Chase going to take a look here at Tom's graveyard. Get some information maybe on his way out of this game. Dromoka's Command, the most impressive card we saw here in this game, that's for sure. Chase will deploy a Soulfire Grandmaster. Looking to see if there's some way he can stay in this one. He'll pass the turn back over to the boss. And the boss will take a draw. Survey some things, see what he's willing to attack with. And it looks like everything will be the option. Now, Soulfire Grandmaster having lifelink means that Chase is at a virtual 7 right now. So Tom's got to get 7 damage through. There's a block. Here is a Valor Stance, all right?
It's a big swing there.
It is.
Chase kind of getting things turned around a little bit here.
Seeker of the Way and a passing of the turn. Here's 5 mana. There's Icefall Regent. I mean, it's still actually staying in this.
Yeah, this board's stable now for the time being.
All right, Battle-Wise Hoplite will be the option. Pass the turn back. Take a draw.
Chase is dead to a lot of things, but I don't think Tom has them.
I don't think Tom has any of those things. He's got a Temple. Take a look at the top card. Leave it on top really fast.
Not a good sign for Chase.
It's not great since Chase is at 1. Tom's trying to figure out the best way that he can attack here this turn.
Yeah, because Chase has to block with the Soulfire Grandmaster, and
Yeah.
Tom might be willing to say, it's worth trading away 2 of my creatures to get the Soulfire Grandmaster off the table. Looks like he ultimately decides that's not the case, but at least worth sitting down for a moment and figuring it out.
Battlefield Forge is the land that Kovac does play. Now he's starting to reach for some mana, so it looks like he has a spell to play.
And this is good play here from Chase. I think the last card in his hand is just a Shivan Reef, but the reorganization of the lands may give Tom cause for pause here.
Let's see what Tom kept on top. Treasure Cruise, maybe? Yep. Time to reload. 1 in his main deck this weekend.
And that's largely facilitated by the presence of the fetch lands, the extra fetch lands in his deck. Didn't actually cast that many spells this game, but a lot of Flighted Strands and Windswept Heaths.
Now, 2 of the cards that were drawn for Tom were lands there. One of them was a spell, but didn't get a great look at it. There's a Temple. Take a look at that top card. Goes to the bottom pretty quick, not what the boss is looking for. Now, the Seeker of the Way over there is a 3/3. We can't forget about that, given the prowess trigger from the Treasure Cruise. So maybe we see that one coming to the red zone.
If Tom gets a trade with either of these creatures, he's thrilled.
Yeah.
And the Soulfire Grandmaster wouldn't even be a trade, so this works out well for Tom regardless.
If Icefall Regent blocks, which it looks like it will, Tom will gain some life, which doesn't matter all that much, but the Battle-Wise Hoplite will be unlocked now.
Yeah.
Back to Kovac we go. There are some big draws available in Chase's deck, thanks to the Soulfire Grandmaster being in play. But I don't think that he has found one just yet. Laying out his graveyard, taking a look. Gonna pass that turn back. Over to the boss. The boss will draw.
And all these little fidgety motions you see here from Chase is just trying to give Tom the sense that Chase drew a spell.
Yeah, it's smart. It's small stuff, but it's smart.
Yeah, listen, body language matters a lot. And if you watch these matches consistently on camera, you can start seeing patterns with people when they have action in their hand, when they don't. Chase there knows the only way he can win the game is by Tom hesitating to attack because he thinks that Chase has some powerful spell to rebuy with the Soulfire Grandmaster and that Tom could lose too much stuff in combat. Tom's savvy enough to know that if that's going to happen, and it's going to happen anyway, so he's sort of forced to attack. But Chase there at least giving Tom cause for pause, and there's a lot of players in the room where that kind of stuff might actually make a difference on whether or not they're willing to set up that Alpha Strike on the last turn.
Tom Ross wins game number 1 here over Chase Kovac. Bant Heroic up a game over Jeskai Aggro. We take a look at the sideboards. We will start with Kovac as he will be on the play here for game number 2.
2 copies of Negate 3 Disdainful Stroke, an Obzon Advantage, a God's Willing, and Encase in Ice, a Wild Slash, a Glare of Heresy, 2 copies of Arc Lightning, a Valorous Stance, a Prognostic Sphinx, and an Elspeth. Big fan of the Valorous Stance in this matchup, the Glare of Heresy, and the Wild Slash, good cheap removal. I think God's Willing is okay in this kind of matchup because, it's a damage race, and every cheap spell kind of just matters. It's not like Tom has a lot of removal, although he's probably bringing in, cards like Glare of Heresy of his own. But just making the deck cheaper is really important. I like Negate in the matchup quite a bit as well.
Take a look at the boss's sideboard. 2 copies of Monastery Mentor, an additional copy of Laguna Band Trailblazer. Got 2 Ordeal of Heliod's. Also got a Temple of Enlightenment, 2 Treasure Cruise, 4 Stubborn Isle, and Johnny's Presence hanging out over here as well. What do we like here, my friend?
I like the Johnny's Presence quite a bit. I like the additional copies of Ordeal of Heliod because it's a red base removal kind of matchup. I like the Trailblazer. Not really a Monastery Mentor fan in this matchup. Chase could be bringing in something like Anger of the Gods. He's also just got a lot of cheap removal in general. And Encase in Ice here, I think, is pretty poor.
Okay. Well,
Stubborn Denial also might come in. Yeah, maybe not.
Maybe in like a small number.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I like 4, but I could see 1 or 2 being fine.
We talk about SCG Game Night quite a bit. It's a brand new month, so we got to talk about it again. You may have seen the old kitty cat on our lapel. That little guy.
Oh, yeah. So wide-eyed, optimistic about the life in front of it, playing with a hamster and a ball. This is sweet. This is available in April. Your store signed up for this. They can run game night any day of the week, sanctioned, unsanctioned, whatever formats, just to get players in the store for some fun and friendly magic. Too late to get signed up for the April kit, obviously. Up next, we have the May kit, which we're showing you here. I believe some bees.
Yeah, dangerous animal.
Dangerous, yeah.
It's not. It's an insect, it's not an animal. It's dangerous though. I don't like bees.
Super dangerous.
I don't like bees at all.
You're looking to get signed up for these kits, head over to starcgames.com/game night, get more information.
Don't forget about June.
Oh, we got June.
Oh, we got June. A bunny with a stick and a carrot. And it looks like there's some sort of bunny mathematics taking place there on the pin.
I think it might be some military planning.
That's just scary stuff. That's scarier than a bee.
Yeah, I mean,
army of bunnies?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna have to get the art. I'm gonna have to speak to the artist personally, but I assume this is someone actually navigating a military plan to go get some carrots.
Well, carrots are delicious.
They are delicious
and nutritious.
Rabbits also like them quite a bit, so there you go. Historically,
that'll be
stereotypically. That's the June kit. You get signed up. StarCgames.com/game night. More information.
We got all sorts of fun stuff.
We do.
Don't even know what's coming in July. My life for a hippo. But now, I've decided it's just falling on deaf ears.
Yeah, I know.
I've come to the realization that it's just never going to happen.
Pretty disappointed with the Star City Games brain trust here.
Yep.
But it's not my call to make.
No, it's okay. Life is full of disappointments, as they say.
Yep. It is, however, my right to call them out on the air. So that's the way I get mine.
Well, there's nothing they can do to stop us.
Right. They're going to cut my mic? Don't think so.
Yeah.
So I just have open season to do this. But I am disappointed.
We are unstoppable
Yeah,
until we are stopped.
right.
But
They'd have to fire me, which I suppose they just can.
that's an
but
option. That's an option, yeah.
So far, it seems like things are going okay, so hopefully it doesn't come to that. But hippos would be nice.
I wouldn't hate it. I wouldn't hate it. Game number 2 going to be underway here between Jeskai Aggro and Bant Heroic. The splash here for the boss, it's a small one. It's just for Dromoka's command. You won't find any green cards in his sideboard either. But that's indicative of how powerful Tom feels Dromoka's command is.
Well, it was spectacular there, that game, allowing him to break serve on the draw, and then the second Dromoka's command was a huge beating. Chase's draw was excellent, and to his credit, he came very close to stabilizing that game. Icefall Regent, great in this matchup as long as he doesn't just get hit with the God's Willing effect, but that Dromoka's command was just a little bit too much to overcome. Chase had to chump block a bunch. He lost several turns worth of development as a result, and even though he had some powerful foul plays and Tom flooded out a little bit, Chase could not get the game turned around because that second Dromoka's command just did way too much.
That second Dromoka's command was, whoa, that's the best Dromoka's command I've seen so far.
So far, yeah. I mean, it's still early.
It's week 2, but that might be the best one. That was a beating.
Kill your thing, and the other thing you made bigger with your first thing. That's a pretty good turn.
That's dead
2
too.
mana.
Yeah, that's dead too.
That's dead too.
Sorry about that whammy. Chase looking at opening hand here with a Temple of Triumph, which is where he will start for game number 2. See where this top card goes. It stays on top, so we head Ross's way. Ordeal of Thassa the draw. Here's a Temple of Enlightenment here for Tom. Top card goes to the bottom as we go back to Kovac. Flooded Strand is what Chase has found. He will sacrifice that, go down to 19. We've got an island or a plains coming. And there's a Seeker of the Way.
Really important for Chase to get off to a start with something proactive. Because if he's not doing anything, that gives Tom the ability to make his land drops and start casting things when he has protection available, which is not the game that Chase wants to play. Chase wants to force Tom to tap out, and then removal spells like Wild Slash can become very effective.
A Windswept Teeth and a passing of the turn back over to Kovac, who will serve in for 2 here with the Seeker of the Way. Ross down to 18. The follow-up is a Soulfire Grandmaster, Mystic Monastery, and passing of the turn. Very nice start here for Kovac.
Yeah, this is great. You see the leftovers here, Wild Slash. Icefall Regent, he's pretty far away from getting to, but very powerful if it shows up.
The boss will sacrifice his Flooded Strand. Plains or Island coming. There's a Plains. He has a Seeker of the Way now, leaving that Windswept Teeth at the ready. Not entirely sure, I think, what he wants to search for with that just yet.
Well, this could be the kind of spot where, in an ideal world, he would get green because he's missing green mana. But if Chase forces the hand this turn and plays something to kill the Seeker of the Way, and Tom has a God's Willing in hand, the Heath might have to get a Plains instead.
Here are some attacks very quickly from Kovac with the Soulfire Grandmaster and Seeker of the Way. See if Tom wants to make a move with a block here.
Might be a spot where he's willing to trade with the Soulfire Grandmaster. Pretty safe.
Well, he'll try.
Soulfire Grandmaster is definitely a long-term threat, and if Tom has other creatures left over in his hand, then he may not care too much about the Seeker.
Well, the trade does work. There's a Mana Confluence. This looks to be a Hero of Iroas, and it is. And the boss will pass the turn back. Kovac with Wild Slash at the ready. The question is, does he want to cast it now or does he want to cast it on his own turn? Looks like he wants to wait till his own turn. So he just untaps a Seeker of the Way.
Wild Slash is a necessary evil against decks like Heroic. Definitely has moments of being very good, but the red removal does get a little dangerous because if you initiate a fight and don't win, not only does the creature get very large, but you can never catch up with your red removal ever again. So sometimes it's better served to just be leaving your mana up to prevent Tom from doing anything proactive. With Hero of Iroas, though, it's probably going to be pretty cheap for Tom to initiate some sort of enchantment on his own turn, and Chase Chase's hand may get forced at that point to just casting the wild slashes and hoping they're good enough.
So Tom wants to move forward here on this turn. He's got a lot of options in his hand. Ordeal of Thassa, Ordeal of Heliod in hand. You have to imagine there's at least one God's Willing effect. You can see one copy of God's Willing in his hand. So we'll start with Ordeal of Thassa and try to trigger Heroic on the hero. Here's a Wild Slash in response, and we are going to build ourselves a stack here, I think, Patrick.
Yeah, Chase has to fight now. He can't afford not to.
God's Willing here from the boss will be the response to the Wild Slash. Here's another Wild Slash. Tom will take a look at his hand again here, I think. But I think he has another copy of God's Willing. He'll start by sacrificing Windswept Heath.
Okay, now he can afford to go get a Plains with this because the Mana Confluence provides him green in the event that he draws Dromoka's Command.
There is another God's Willing. So it looks like Ross is going to win this war. So resolve the scry from the second God's Willing. Leaves that card on top. Now another Heroic trigger. If he left on top with the first God's Willing resolving, you have to imagine he'll leave on top yet again.
Yep.
Wild Slashes are all set. Now our Ordeal of Thassa resolves. That means another Heroic counter. And now, you know what? Just for little funsies.
While we're here,
Might as well.
I've already stopped by, I might as well just do the whole thing.
Get a bunch of counters on. The Hero of Iroas, draw 2 cards, gain 10 life. What's the big deal? So a bunch of damage is going to come across here. Tom refuels the grip a little bit. Dromoka's Command in hand now is 2. Now we head back Kovac's way.
And these are the moments where Glare of Heresy is probably the best sideboard card you can have against heroic strategies. Valor Stance is pretty high on the list too.
Which I think Chase does have in his hand, and he'll use that to get Hero of Iroas off the table, trigger the Prowess and the lifelink on the Seeker of the Way, and he's right back in this thing now. Ross will draw. Does have Battle-Wise Hoplite in hand. Dromoka's Command 2. Looks like he'll start with a favorite Hoplite. The follow-up is a Seeker of the Way and a passing of the turn over to Kovac. Kovac will sacrifice his Flooded Strand. Plains or Island coming.
I think we're about to see Icefall Regent.
Yeah, if he does have a 5th land that enters the battlefield untapped, we certainly will. Seems like a good time to be casting it. And it looks like there's a Battlefield Forge, and there is Icefall Regent. That'll shut down the Seeker of the Way. You have to imagine this card is going to see some amount of play.
I mean, Frost Titan and Dungeon Geist both showed up plenty.
Yeah.
And this card's probably in the same, same approximate power level as those cards. So yeah, I imagine it shows up. A lot of competition at 5 mana, but being single color helps quite a bit in terms of showing up.
So Seeker of the Way locked down, and now Chase deciding if he can attack. As the Seeker is only a 2/2, so he could be running into some bad news here.
A variety of tricks.
Tom reaching. Sacrifice the Windswept Heath very quickly. And there's Dromoka's Command. So we're going to see +1/+1 mode, and target creature you control fights target creature you don't control.
And I think that Tom went and tried to do this to the Icefall Regent because he would get the Heroic trigger from the Hoplite and so forth. But that doesn't work because Dromoka's Command targets the opposing creature.
Yeah, you're going to have to pay 2 more to do that.
And then the Frost Titan text comes in. So, Tom can still do some work here inside of combat taking care of the Seeker of the Way. But if you wanted to take care of the Icefall Regent, he would have had to wait till next turn.
So what Tom's going to do there instead is say +1/+1 on my favorite hot plate. So we get 2 counters, and then have my Seeker of the Way fight your Seeker of the Way, and his Seeker of the Way triggers from prowess, so he wins.
Sure.
So it's still fine.
Yeah, I think that Tom was hoping to get rid of the Icefall Regent that turn, and he can't do that. He would have to untap and then take care of it. But these things happen sometimes when you're playing against the cards for the first time.
Gotta say, the way that favorite hot plate lines up with Jamoka's command is pretty nice too.
Oh, that's a combo.
Yep. Here comes the favorite hot plate. Icefall Regent has no interest in trading. I think we'll just see Tom play his other 2 spells here. He does have a Battle-Wise hot plate. He'll deploy, and he's just going to hold on to the favorite hot plate in hand. Here comes Icefall Regent. Kovac getting very aggressive. That's because he has another Icefall Regent in hand, so he'll cast that, lock down the favorite hot plate, and pass the turn back.
Chase got absolutely rocked game 1 at several points, and Icefall Regent almost clawed him back in. Kind of the same story here.
Yeah.
Chase had some bad turns early on, but this card is just problematic for Tom.
Closing out the game fast, too.
Closes out the game fast. It's a great answer to Tom going big with 1 creature. Tom does not have ways really to get it off the table efficiently, so it's just excellent.
And Tom's going to concede the game, so Chase Kovac with his Icefall Regents will win game number 2 here over Tom Ross. Jeskai aggro, Batch Heroic. They're going to play a 3rd one.
And that's I think a misstep there from Tom, maybe not being fully aware of the Icefall Regent text, but I think Tom needed to untap and then be able to play Jamoka's command and pay through the Icefall Regent text to be able to get that card off the table. Because Tom could not certainly beat the second one, that's for sure.
Yeah, one of them is really good. 2 of them is very hard for Tom to beat.
Yeah, and we saw, Chase went from kind of losing the entire way to quickly stabilizing and killing Tom on the back of Icefall Regent.
Well, we will now talk about something that we kind of unveiled last weekend. It was the change to our buy list here at Star City Games. It was a little outdated,
to say the least. You had to do a lot of control effing on the old buy list. Now, you can sell your cards easier with the new buy card, new pricing tools for language and conditions. So let's say, you have some Tarmogoyfs you want to sell, but they're moderately played. You can go ahead and click moderately played and enter Tarmogoyf. We'll tell you what the buy list price is for that particular card. You can get your buy list order set up ahead of time and then just drop it off at the dealer's booth at any of our opens to save you a substantial amount of time. I've tried it out myself. It's much, much easier to use than the previous buy list. So head over to starcitygames.com/buy list. Check it out right now. You need an account to be able to check out the buy list, but you should be making one of those anyway. And you can sort of kick the tires on the new buy list, which is significantly easier to use than the old one.
It took a little while, but we fixed it.
Yep. The new card is great. You can just punch in the card that you have, punch in its condition, spits out a price. And you can do that over and over again, generate your order, and then just mail that over to Star City Games or drop it off the dealer booth if you want to. Instead of, if you ever come to the opens, you'll see the dealer booths. The line to sell is pretty long sometimes. People are selling thousands of bulk rares. You could be there for a very long time. Now with the new system, you get that taken care of ahead of time, drop it off, get your check, whatever, be on your way.
StarCityGames.com/buy list for more information. As we turn our attention back to this match between Chase Kovac and Tom Ross, the boss will be on the play here for game number 3. His take on Heroic. Players really starting to splash a 3rd color in this deck. Again, Jeskai Heroic from Joe Lissette. He won our Standard Open last weekend to catapult himself into the Season 2 race. And now you've got the boss here with just a small splash of green to make this a Bant Heroic deck, just for Jamoka's command, but it might be worth it. His command is a very powerful card.
Tom has been known to experiment with the Bant, or the Heroic list rather. He's dabbled in red before. He's played some weird one-ofs from time to time, and Jamoka's command, certainly very good. It's been great for Tom every time he's drawn it, and the mana fixing is maybe not ideal for most decks, but because Heroic strategies really only need single mana of each color, the fetch lands do a lot of work. As opposed to, say, some of the Naya shells we've seen over the last couple months where they have double white, they have double red, they need green mana on turn 1. The fetch lands don't always really facilitate what's going on there. They're not the most efficient mana fixers. But for Heroic, you really just need single color of each of your lands, and you need as many lands as possible that come into play untapped. So the fetch lands are great there. And that's not even talking about the synergies with Treasure Cruise and Dig Through Time if you want to play those cards.
Yeah. That's really, really, really nice what's going on with his deck. I kind of like it, actually. And again, we'll find out if this may be the best home for Jamoka's command, because that card's going to see play.
Well, it already has. Abzan aggro decks incorporate it very easily. We see it occasionally kind of in the sideboard or one copy in the main deck of some of the mid-range builds of Abzan. In this deck especially, it makes a lot of sense.
Again, Tom Ross will be on the play here. Game number 3 of round 3 from Syracuse, New York. Cedric Phillips, Patrick Sullivan bringing you guys the coverage all weekend long as we crown another champion for a 2-day 20K Standard Open. At SCG Live, hashtag SCGNY for your tweets all weekend long. You can also join the feature match area, twitch.tv/SCG Live, as we are underway here in Game 3. Tom with an island. Kovac with a Mystic Monastery. The boss on turn number 2 will play a Plains. And we'll see if he has a creature to deploy. And he does in Battle-Wise Hoplite. We'll head back Kovac's way, see if he has something like a Timely Wild Slash.
I would not get too fancy here. If you got an opportunity to kill it, probably just debating between Lightning Strike and Wild Slash.
Does have Seeker the Way and Soulfire Grandmaster too. But Kovac is certainly giving this turn some thought.
I'm generally a fan of getting the more expensive card out of the hand first. Because you have Soulfire Grandmaster, the stacks get filled with a lot of cheap spells. And the difference between Lightning Strike and Wild Slash isn't that different in terms of what it can kill. So if Chase is going to play a removal spell this turn, I would prefer Wild Slash, the Lightning Strike over the Wild Slash. Get the more expensive thing out of your hand first.
Well, by sacrificing a Flooded Strand and searching up the Plains, leads me to believe he's going to play some sort of 2-mana spell. It could be the Lightning Strike, as you did mention. Could be a creature as well. And it's going to be a creature in Seeker of the Way. It's going to come back to hurt him.
But we'll see. If he has Valorous Stance in hand, so he may just be confident in his ability to remove something large somewhere down the line. And Lightning Strikes and Wild Slashes can potentially handle some follow-up plays from Tom. But generally speaking, the preferred line of play against heroic decks is kill stuff when that player's tapped out. Don't get into some sort of battle over a creature down the line where cards like God's Willing and Stubborn Denial can be really problematic.
I'm going to quickly sacrifice a Windswept Teeth, go get a forest out of his deck. That's an ordeal. Trigger. That means he gets to scry thanks to the Battle-Wise Hoplite. So we'll take a look at that top card.
And this is the risk. Now the red removal's off the table. The creature's too big. So if Tom has a way to fight over Valorous Stance or, Glare of Heresy, those kind of follow-ups, Chase is left with a bunch of shocks and bolts in his hand and nothing to really kill with it.
Icefall Regent the draw.
Now Chase probably just has to cast and hope.
Which is a horrible feeling against heroic when they have a single white mana available.
Compounding the issue, I think, is Chase is about to miss his 3rd land drop.
That's what it looks like, yeah. We head back Boss's way. There is a Plains. Time to attack. Triggers are good. 2 cards coming here for Ross. A little land heavy here for Ross in his hand. As Kovac, it looks like he has no blocks, no responses.
Well, Chase may be trying to set up a line of play here where he tries to use Seeker plus Lightning Strike to take care of the Hoplite. And then if that doesn't work, Valorous Stance on the following turn.
Sure.
If he didn't Valorous Stance now, I assume he's trying to set up some sort of block plus bolt to bleed the God's Willing out of the hand and then have the Valorous Stance as insurance next turn.
Well, this is going to be an attempt. It won't take place right away. The 2 damage is dealt to the Battle-Wise Hoplite. Now here's the Lightning Strike. It'll be Defiant Strike. That'll take care of this just fine. Top card goes to the bottom. Defiant Strike will cantrip. Now Chase does have the opportunity with his Valorous Stance to get that thing off the table. Now he's got to deal with Seeker the Way, though.
Yep.
And these mana issues are really making things difficult here for Kovac. Battle-Wise Hoplite the draw for Ross. There's a Plains. Here comes the Seeker. That's a Battle-Wise. This is a Hero of Iroas, and that's a passing of the turn. Kovac will draw another copy of Frostbreath Regent. Excuse me, Icefall Regent.
And now Chase, because he's likely to, I think he has to discard a hand size this turn.
Cast Slash.
Just has to cast this on something.
And this might be a situation where Tom is just like, that's fine. Also, or he can just use the God's Willing here.
I think that he wants to try to close the game out as fast as possible while Chase is missing land drops.
Sure.
And that sets him up for a kill in 2 turns. If he allows that Wild Slash to resolve, he's looking at 3, maybe 4 turns. That's a lot of opportunity for Chase to draw out of it.
There's a Trailblazer and a pass. Kovac will show all spells and extend the hand. Tom Ross going to win this match over Chase Kovac. 2-1. Bant Heroic making its debut, and it's a pretty nice one. The boss moves on to 3-0.
Dromoka's command was really awesome there.
A delight.
I mean, no 2 ways.